Welcome to the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage, where rude mechanicals do magic. Hello, I'm Bronze Age, Director of the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage. And today we're at the lamp bench with this fairly interesting chandelier. We've got kind of a floral motif going on here. The flowers resemble lilies, but the leaves resemble gladiolas. It's made all of steel. The arms are steel tubing. The leaves and the flower petals are all stamped sheet metal. Any connections down here are simply welded to the central pipe here. The paint might be something of a mystery because I think it was originally an ivory off-white color. And that's where it becomes problematic because there's a lot of rust here. And I don't know if this rust is a result of it just being poorly stored, left out in the weather, which happens to these kinds of chandeliers quite often, or it could have been made originally with bare metal and then it was treated to make it appear rusty. It was probably 40 years ago when I heard the term shabby chic, and that referred to furniture that showed its age, kind of scuffed up. The corners kind of worn out and that sort of thing. And it was popular. It was so popular that we quickly ran out of genuine shabby chic furniture and people had to start making stuff and then shabby it up before they could sell it. Now, even though this is a vaguely Italian design, it's been popular over there for centuries, there's no way to determine age or origin on this piece, simply because the technology that makes it, even though it is post-industrial revolution, could be done anywhere. The flower petals and the leaves can be cut out with a pair of tin snips. And the ribs and all the leaves, that's another fairly simple tool that just rolls that ridge down the center. And the only clues I have, one of them's right here, where this wire under the screw is just all these loose strands of wire, which I will discuss a little bit more in a few minutes. But that indicates sort of, I won't call it an amateur operation, but one where they didn't really have a set of strict electrical standards to go by. Now the sockets screw down on this little nipple sticking up here, and I like to put a nut on there so that I have a good solid foundation to screw the socket down on, because this sheet metal flower is definitely not flat, and really no way to get the socket down tight. And steel tube arms make it very easy to push the wire all the way through. When I install a socket, I always give a little dose of this blue thread lock. It's a thread sealer which allows me to put these very lightweight, kind of flimsy threads down on this piece of pipe, nice and snug without having to squeeze it till it screams. And then I can be sure it's not going to come loose while someone's changing the bulb or something like that. Now I have to address the problem of these fuzzy wires. Multi-stranded wire like this is very flexible, but the National Electrical Code says you can't put stranded wire under screw terminals because they get all frayed out like this and they get loose, and it's really impossible to keep them tight for any length of time. So the solution to that is called tinning. That's basically strip it back, give them a little twist. And then I come in with my soldering iron and put a little drop of solder on the tip of each one. And that turns those multi-strand wires into a single wire. And when I tighten it down underneath the screw, it'll stay in place and stay tight for a very long time. And now I will deliver the sermon of the socket. If you've heard it before, you can recite it along with me. Lamp wire that is sold in North America, the kind that's 2 pieces in one, has a side of the insulation that's smooth and a side that has ridges. If you can't see them, you can still feel them with your finger. And that is because sockets come with one brass colored screw and one silver colored screw. And the smooth side has to go to the brass colored screw. Wrap it around it in a clockwise direction, get it tucked underneath there nice and tight, and screw it down. And that way when you tighten the screw, it pulls the wire under the screw instead of pushing it out. And now that it's tinned, it won't come loose. Now these sockets are adjustable in height, strictly a decorator decision. The owner can do what they want to with it. But I'm going to push it down before I make the connection down at the bottom to give me a little bit more slack down there because I don't have a lot of room, and then I can come back and pull all the slack out after I've got the connection made. I'm going to use a lamp cord for the trunk wire for a couple reasons. First, it makes it much easier to test the chandelier after I've got it together. And second, at a price per foot, it's about the same as a wire I would get on a roll. Now I have soldered it together here for a very good reason. The pipe here at the top is this big, and down at the bottom it's this big. So there's no way you're going to push a wire through here and bullseye this little pipe right here. And while I was fooling around up here, I discovered a little tag that says made in Italy. So that's more information than we get from most chandeliers. Now if all goes well, I'll pull this wire while I guide the other end up here at the top. Making sure I don't get snagged up in all these leaves and flower petals. And there we are. Now the smooth wires have to be connected to the other smooth wires, and the ridge wires have to be connected to the other ridge wires, and then connected to the ridge wire and the smooth wire on the trunk wire. And it's really easy to make a mistake at this point. So I always take all the smooth wires and paint a little black stripe on it, just so that when I'm gathering them all up, I don't get confused, because when you've got 6 wires all bundled up in your fingers, it's hard to tell which ones have ridges and which ones don't. Now all connections in the Secret Underground Laboratory are soldered. Do not use wire nuts, and certainly don't twist the wires together and tape them over. And I am using rosin core solder. Rosin is basically a chemical detergent, which will make sure that it washes all the corrosion or oxides off the wires, and cleans it as well so the solder sticks. The alternative to rosin is acid core solder, and that can never be used on electrical work because although the acid does a great job of cleaning the wires off, the acid is still there, and so your wires sit there and just slowly corrode as the acid eats into them, and in a week, a month, who knows how long, these wires will just crumble into dust. Now, the connection is sealed with shrink tubing, which is a peculiar kind of plastic, which, as the name implies, shrinks. I get it pushed up on there, and when I hit it with a little heat from my mini torch, it draws up nice and tight. Then I come back, fold it over, and put another piece on it. And hit that with the torch one more time. That gives me a double layer here at the end where it's most likely to rub through and create a short circuit. Now I can tuck all these wires up inside here. And I have one more operation before this chandelier job is finished. This is the setup I use to make sure that all the arms are straight and at the same level. Now it's hanging free, so this is what it's going to look like when it's finally installed in the home. But this block right here keeps it from moving around, so I can actually get accurate measurements and compare one arm to the other. Now when you got it set up, you just find one that you like. Make sure it's nice and straight, get in both directions like that, and then you just go around. And when you find one that needs a little tweak, you just bend it back straight. Now if this was brass, I could probably do this by hand. But being steel, you need just a little bit more leverage. And we just go around to each and every one until we're happy with it. And then we look at both directions and make sure it's good and straight. This is Bronze Age for the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage. Now, thank you for sitting through this video of our shabby chic Italian chandelier. I would really appreciate it if you would like to subscribe. Also, please comment. I answer all comments, and I enjoy reading them. So again, thank you very much.